Details of how BBC News bulletins were used to send secret messages to resistance fighters in the Second World War have been released today. It's fascinating, this.
Yep, 80 years on from Britain and France going to war with Germany, the archive recordings reveal how Big Ben was sometimes replaced with a recording to confuse German bombers. Here's our arts correspondent, David Slitto.
This is the BBC Home and Forces programme. Here is the news, and this is John Snagg reading it.
The sound of Big Ben and the BBC News live from London.
A service that links the world by radio.
However, during the Second World War, Big Ben wasn't always live. The BBC has just released archive recordings from people from the Second World War who reveal that, for instance, Big Ben was sometimes a recording. Why? Well, if you were listening and you could hear German bombers above, it might help them target their bombs. So someone was always waiting with a record, just in case.
Here you can see some of the bomb damage. I mean, the BBC was actually hit repeatedly.
Historian David Hendy has been going through this archive material, and he's particularly interested in what was happening in Poland. 80 years after the Nazi invasion, we now know the BBC was using music at the end of the news to send secret messages to the resistance.
The bulletins that were broadcast to Poland would be made to run deliberately short by a minute or so. And then a secret messenger from the exiled Polish government would deliver to the BBC, under the code name Peter Peterkin, a record that should be played in that spare minute or so. And that, the choice of music, would send a message to resistance groups in Poland.
Now let's go back to Broadcasting House and watch this.
And getting the BBC to play the right song at the right time was the job of a man called Alex Sutherland, because sometimes a record was scratched and the BBC would want to substitute another tune.
The recorded programmes assistants would look at these discs and they would see a band that they thought would make a better broadcast. And so they would play the other band and the wrong bridge would get blown up in Poland.
This playground of northeast London was a relic of Victorian times.
Even the transmitter at Alexandra Palace had a wartime role. It was used to interfere with the navigation systems of German bombers. All this was, of course, top secret at the time, but 80 years on, these interviews are still revealing new insights into what part broadcasting played in the Second World War. David Solito, BBC News.
So some truly extraordinary stories coming out of those.
Play the wrong song, bomb the wrong bridge. I mean, that's serious stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.